Okay, thank you, Agnes. Hi, my name is Joshua. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the festivities of Singapore FinTech Festival. I think this is one of the most important week in the entire FinTech in Singapore itself. So thanks for SFA for actually inviting me to share with you guys about my journey and a bit more about the Rootant itself. I think before I start off. I'll just very quickly just introduce myself. So basically, as I mentioned, I'm Joshua. So I'm currently the business development and strategic partner director at a local fintech company called Rootant Global. So in a nutshell, what Rootant does is basically we are a tech provider to facilitate mainly financing for both the enterprises as well as the financial institution. Okay, so through digitalization, we try to make financing more smoother. I think you guys, I'm not sure whether you guys will know that some of the banks, in terms of if you want to apply for a loan, a lot of times it's still a very manual process. So we are trying to change that with our technology. But at the end of the day, technology is just an enabler. So what we are doing is solving a challenge right now in the financial industry through our technology. Yeah. So a bit about myself. So basically, I started all my career as a bank in banks itself. Like everyone during the time, everyone wanted to go into banks. So I started off with DBS Bank, going on to OCBC, and finally going to London to work for Barclays in their corporate banking team. But the 10 years after which I had the opportunity to actually go to China. That's when I actually see the development. That's when actually payments company like WeChat, Alipay started coming up. And that's why I really see how financial technology can really change the habits of the normal people. Yeah. So when I came back to Singapore in 2018, I was at the crossroad. So this is something maybe I think I would like to share with you guys. I was at a crossroad. Should I go back to the banking sector? I could easily get a job within the bank itself, going back to what I used to do. Yeah. Or should I try to do something different, which is more relevant, which is more in line with what is happening right now in the world? So an opportunity came up to actually manage the Singapore FinTech Association. When I joined Singapore FinTech Association, I was only the second employee there. So it was a pretty small association managing around 250 fintech companies back then. So it was really an opportunity. It was a great platform for me to actually be at the forefront of the fintech development here in Singapore and see how the fintech, really witness how the fintech has really grown in Singapore. Yeah. So but more importantly, what I do enjoy as the director for Singapore FinTech, so the most enjoyable part of my job then was actually being able to speak to the future leaders of Singapore and the schools, the students, and participating in such events where I can share what I've learned. It's not what I learned about FinTech to you guys, hopefully helping you understand a bit more about FinTech, understand a bit more about what is required to actually, why FinTech is such an important sector for Singapore itself, and then what are the opportunities for you guys in this sector. Yeah. So so a couple of things that wanted to share with you guys about my experience till now. It's basically hopefully this is something for you guys to take away as you go into the next step of your career or in life. Yeah. So basically, I think FinTech has always been seen as a buzz, but I can tell you that it's no longer a buzzword. So it's really FinTech. It's really, there's definitely a convergence. FinTech and finance will definitely converge, which means the traditional banking sector, the finance sector, will eventually become more and more like FinTech. This we can witness from some of the more developed countries in terms of FinTech. I think UK is much more developed in terms of FinTech. You can see that even the banks, the mindset, how they structure the bank going forward has changed. So it's going to be that FinTech and finance is all intertwined together. So that is something for you to. So regardless of whether you decide that, oh, I want to work in the bank going forward, you have to know a bit about FinTech, regardless of what position you are at. Yeah. So that is something for you to take note. We can see, and this COVID has actually accelerated the entire process of digitalization of the banking sector or the financial sector, because expectations and habits will change after this period. Yeah, just give you an example. Like for example, during COVID itself, I think no one can go into the branches. You see the banks slowly closing off some of the branches because a lot of people are choosing to use digital forms to interact with the banks going forward. Even my mother, which is 72 this year, during the COVID period, as she was too afraid to actually go to the branch or even use AXS machines to do her payments, has actually moved to use digital banking to actually do her payments and all other banking transactions. It shows that because of COVID, people's expectation and habits will change even faster in Singapore, and then there will be a much greater push towards payments, which means providers like the banks or the other financial providers would have to pick up their game, accelerate their digitalization process. So the first point is basically finance and fintech. It's really going to come together. Yeah, even if you are in the banks right going forward, there's no difference. So you have to learn about fintech because you have to learn about fintech. What are the new technologies out there? Yeah. So, and one thing on this point itself is about one area which I think you can maybe look at, or maybe just read about it, or get more knowledge about it, is about sustainability. Okay, sustainability will become a very important part, even in the especially in the financial sector. Yeah, so that is, but we as you see, the global governments are pushing. Even Singapore itself has our own green plan to push the sustainability agenda in Singapore. You can see that there's a more focus by the banks, by the enterprises to focus more on this area itself. But the problem here right now is that we do not have enough people that have a good knowledge of fintech. So regardless of whether you decide to go into the bank as a KYC officer or even as a relationship manager in the less tech roles, you have to know about sustainability. Okay, because this is a way which the banks will access the companies going forward, or this will be a conversation which your customers would be talking about going forward. So it's good that you start learning about sustainability. Yeah, so that is an area which I think you can consider. That is what Rootant has a portion which we are doing green financing as well. Yeah, so basically, if you are interested to find out more, feel free to reach out to us as well. Yeah. So the second point I want, hopefully, is a takeaway for you guys is Singapore, because as part of my role as a director for Singapore FinTech Association, I had an amazing opportunity to be traveling to different countries to actually see their development of fintech. Some of the countries that I've been to will be like even in Africa, Kenya, going to UK, Cambodia, Taiwan, China. This really gives me the opportunity to see the development of fintech in the different countries itself. But what I can say, safely say, is that Singapore is definitely leading the fintech revolution or change in ASEAN region. We just to provide a stats, out of all the fintech companies in ASEAN, nearly 40 to 45% of them are in Singapore. Okay, a lot of them make Singapore their HQ, but the market is in ASEAN. So there's a lot of opportunities out there where because being in Singapore itself, there's a good ecosystem because of what MAS has done. Like the Singapore FinTech Festival is an amazing platform for international people to actually understand more about what Singapore is doing in terms of fintech development. But what it entails for you, which means that a lot of ASEAN fintech companies will choose to position themselves in Singapore, but their market is the rest of ASEAN. Similar to my company as well. Singapore for us is a showcase, is where we are based, but our markets is not in Singapore, it's ASEAN. Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunities for fintech people outside of ASEAN, and Singapore companies which are right now more innovative and can actually lead the revolution and then have an impact on the rest of the countries, our surrounding countries. Yeah, so that's the second point. ASEAN is where the market is for the fintech companies, and it can start from Singapore. So by being involved in the fintech community or companies here in Singapore, you can make an impact outside of Singapore as well. Yeah. So the third thing I actually take away from this is more about I think your generation will be much more difficult than us going forward because of technology, internet, digitalization. So that a lot of things will change. We are actually witnessing one of the biggest change since the Industrial Revolution, I would say, is like a digital revolution, which a lot of jobs, even, okay, talking about jobs, okay, habits and expectation on the common people will change as well. Okay, now previously, just to give an example, I think maybe 2 years back, before Grab and Uber, or right now Gojek came in, what was your habit? What do you have to do when you want to haul for a cab? You normally go down to the road and then start putting your hands up. Hopefully a cab will stop for you. But right now, the habits has changed. Everyone before, when they want to take a car, they will just take out a phone. So all these things are changing, and we are witnessing, and because of that, because of technology as well, AI, blockchain, data analysis. So a lot of jobs which used to be there might not be there anymore. Yeah, you might tell me that, hey, no, Joshua, maybe some of the professional jobs like accountants or even lawyers, they still need them. Yes, they still need them, but their work will be supported by technology going forward. I was reading something that says that even the accountants are using AI to help them look for trends and then analyze financials going forward, which means that the jobs scope is going to change. Previously, it used to be done manually, but going forward, the use of technology will be used for even some of the traditional jobs. A lot of jobs will cease to exist, especially the manual jobs. So for people entering the workspace, you need to know what are the jobs that will still be relevant. Yeah, that is pretty important. You do not want to be in a position where it's after a few years, you realize that because of digitalization, the job has reduced its value, or is going to be no longer there. Yeah, so you want to be relevant. So I would advise that do make use of the opportunities given by your school or by the government in terms of funding to go and upgrade yourself. This is going to be a continuous learning. You have to learn. I'm not saying that you learn, not everyone will be, we have to be honest. Even myself, I'm in the fintech industry, I do not know about programming. Yeah. So we have the guys for that. They're experts in that. But the thing is, you can actually understand more about the technology. Like for example, I went for courses in AI. I need to understand how AI works. How can it be relevant for finance? But I do not know how to maybe program an AI program. Yeah, but at least in different positions, you need to understand what the latest technology out there. So this is one. Not just that, hard skills is one, soft skills as well. Yeah, things like, because the whole workspace is going to, because of COVID itself, everyone started working from home. There's a much more needed to be working collaboratively as a team. All these soft skills you need to pick up along the way. How to work in a team, how to work in an environment that is not I would say standard and is more volatile, like in a startup environment. Yeah, so these are things that you need to pick up along the what is required. How can I be more entrepreneur? Doesn't mean that you have to be an entrepreneur, but it just means the mindset is of an entrepreneur. Okay, is to survive in all this. So these are things that you have to. It's a continuous learning. So I advise you, if given your position right now, it's the best time to start learning about this thing, learning about the new things, then deciding where you want to go going forward. Not the traditional jobs will still be there. Yeah, some jobs, like for example, a company like ours is still recruiting for business development guys. Yeah, still recruiting for marketing guys. But instead of mass comm kind of marketing, marketing person, what we require is more people who are skilled in digital marketing. Yeah, for business development as well, it still be there. But you have to know what is the new things out there. Yeah, so those are a few takeaways I have. That hopefully will help you going forward as you leave the schools or are deciding whether to move on to your next career. Yeah. So I think fintech, I think those that actually listen to my this this session right now. I think congratulations. At least you shown an interest towards fintech. This is definitely an area that is up and coming. And one thing about fintech is that, or finance, is that it cuts across all industries. It's the one industry that actually cuts across all industries. So that's something that and is very relevant. Yeah. And wish you all the best. And then hopefully you enjoy the activities planned by the organizers going forward, and have a great weekend.
Thanks a lot, Joshua.
No worries, Getty.
Richard, you just joined? Maybe you may want to have any question with regard to Joshua about the entrepreneurship or any startup, or what are the challenges to start up. Feel free to ask your question, Richard.
Hi, Richard.
You know, I'm a startup, but I'm looking for, it's a fintech startup, but I'm looking for some data visualization people. Now, how do you go about looking for that kind of specific subset of people?
Yeah, we are facing the same problem as well, Richard. Singapore, not enough all these people. So one thing about us, which in Singapore itself for us, we find that it's also quite hard to get a lot of programmers, the tech side of things. That's why our entire team is actually in Shanghai. So most of the tech guys, the data guys are in Shanghai.
Wow, but then you become very much a regional hub, yeah?
In a way, yes, because our company started off in China, but we only recently moved our HQ to Singapore. Yes, and we realized that that here will be mostly some of the business guys. So it will be business development, the product guys, the client success. But for the tech guys, we find it pretty difficult to because all the industries are recruiting for tech guys right now. Either you're willing to pay, we are a small company, so willing to pay higher for the salaries or offer something better is a bit difficult. So we decided that at this moment in time, while we're growing, so we'll focus on, well, our tech side will still be in Shanghai. I guess you're facing the same problem as well, right? Do you find it difficult to get the tech people?
I think you can get people, but how you can get good people with a specific skill set or specific experience, that's I think a global challenge. I don't think it's just
it's just good. Yeah. So have you in Singapore? Have you start speaking to some of, like I think Chin would be one of the best person to speak to. Maybe she has find a way to actually link you up to the schools itself.
Yeah, you have a
Professor Keith Carter as well.
You have an
NUS.
You have an outfit in Singapore that specializes in geospatial, and that's the specific rabbit hole that we are in. So
okay,
quite helpful, and they pointed us to some of the academics. But again, you know, people with the specific experience or skill sets is very rare.
It's very rare here in Singapore. Yes, I totally agree with you. Yeah, so there's nothing we can do.
All the support. Singapore gives all the infrastructure, but ultimately your people problem is still the issue.
Yeah.
I think you've attracted a lot of global people into Singapore, but they seem to be more the founders and the startups and
not the tech guys, right? I think MOM should do something to attract all the people with the specific tech skills to come in to support the industry as well. You see, if you look at the fintech industry right now, I think it's a total of 1,000+ companies, and most of the bigger fintechs that I know, like Noom, all this, they have their tech team outside of Singapore. I think Noom has it in India and Lithuania. So so a lot of them, to help support the growth, especially for fast-growing fintechs, they have their team outside because they find it difficult to find people here as well. And obviously, cost is an issue. It's pretty high.
Yeah, interesting. And I can see Singapore has put so much effort into fintech, and you know the forum over the last 3 days.
Yeah, the fintech festival.
Very much world-class people that are. You know, I think you're establishing yourself as a world-class for fintech. As a leader rather than a follower, which is traditionally for Asian people, right?
Correct. I think as what I just mentioned, I think Singapore is leading the way in terms of fintech. Fintech companies will position themselves here in Singapore because of the more stable regulation, the ecosystem, but their market is definitely outside of Singapore. Like for us itself, our market is actually Indonesia, Hong Kong, and Japan. Singapore to us is more like a showcase.
Yeah. Very interesting. Thank you very much.
No worries, no worries. All the best in your fintech journey.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So Getty, anything else or?
Basically, if there's no more questions from Richard, basically that's about it, I think.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks a lot for the invitation. Thank you.
Thanks
take
a lot,
care.
Joshua.
Take care, Richard.
Thanks.
Have a
Richard.
good weekend. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye. So Agnes, the next session is start at 11 o'clock, right?